Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be playing with MidJourney, an artificial intelligence that generates amazing works of art simply based off of text that you give it. Now, I've been recovering from COVID this entire past weekend, but despite that, I've never had so much fun trying to generate amazing works of art like you see here. Because this is more than just an image generation tool. It feels a bit like a game, like a challenge. Because it's not always easy to reach your desired goal, and it takes a lot of tweaking, some creativity, and some imagination to try to guide the AI in the right direction. Now, what you see here are actually some of my favorites of my own prompts that I've given it. So for example, this right here was generated based off of the prompt of a puff of red smoke in the shape of a mythical dragon head, black background, dramatic lighting, cinematic, hyper-realistic, high detail, 8K octane render. So you can see a lot of little details can go into guiding the AI into what you want the image to look like, whether it's the art style or the realism versus like a painting, things like that. I've got this masterpiece, which is a brontosaurus made of broccoli in a field. Epic, dramatic, realistic, and I think it delivered on that one. But going from silly, you can go into the more realistic and creepy. This is a necromancer goddess in ornate skeleton armor, and then a bunch of adjectives to help guide the style of it. And then one of my personal favorites, which I now use as my cell phone background. This is an ancient electric guitar ensnared in vines in a dark forest, dramatic lighting, surreal 8K. So I've generated almost 1,000 images with this thing by now, but I thought it'd be fun to show you guys what the process is like by going to my Discord community and seeing what kind of image ideas you guys can come up with there. And then we can see MidJourney try to convert your ideas into reality right here in this video. Okay, so the way MidJourney works, if you're paying for a subscription like I had to because I got too addicted to it, is I'm actually in a DM with the bot itself. So if I just type in /imagine, then I can type in whatever prompt I want, and it'll try to imagine that for me in the form of 4 images, which I can then choose which one of those I want to try to upscale into its own dedicated image, or create variations of it and things like that. So I'm going to take the very first suggestion that came in by NSAW1, and that is a pine tree forest, sunset, power line into the distance, mountain, close-up tree, detailed, saturated, high contrast shadows, sunset shadow. You get the idea. Let's go ahead and give that a try. So now MidJourney will start to generate it, and as it generates it, you actually get to see it come into focus. So this is the very first part of the AI bringing this image to reality, and then every few seconds or so, you'll see it update, getting more and more specific as it fine-tunes and zeroes in on the details. So we're looking at pine tree forest, sunset, power lines in the distance, mountains. So that's a lot of things. There are definitely some things that are easier or more difficult for the AI to pick up on. One of the things I've been learning is that multiple subjects of focus is very difficult. It tends to try to blend them together more often than not, but there are ways around that if you really know what you're doing. All right, so here is the first image set. So you can see some of them, it is kind of combined the tree into the power line concept. Like this looks like one of those big metal power line trusses, but it also looks like a tree at the same time. And you can see we definitely have a pine tree forest, more subtle details in the pine tree forest, also mountains, and he threw old shack at the end of that right there. And this image down here kind of combined that. So that's what I meant by having multiple subjects kind of confuses the AI a little bit. It tries to confuse everything, or it tries to meld everything into one. So that was just the very first suggestion that came in. So now I'm gonna look at ones that I think the AI would do a better job at figuring out. All right, we got a really unique one by Ninja Mayonnaise here. This is ancient primordial toaster at the center of the universe, sci-fi, fantasy, realistic, blah, blah, blah. So what's good about this one is there is a single subject, which is pretty much toaster. And it just, everything else is just details. Toaster at the center of the universe, that's giving it a setting for the subject to be in. And then it's just got, these are all just guiding the art style of it. A realistic sci-fi fantasy art style. And ooh man, look at the color palette of this. Oh boy. This top right one, I'm looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. That actually might be toast. Oh no, oh, I'm seeing it. I'm starting to see it. All right, and here it goes. You can see the interpretations of the AI taking the word toaster at the center of the universe. This one is probably the closest. If you imagine an ancient toaster, what that would look like, You can kind of see like bread coming out of the top of it with all these weird details in here. Here, what I'll do is I'll actually upscale that one. So this is the second image out of the 4. So if I go upscale 2, it'll actually make a higher res version of that basically. But this one is interesting. This actually looks like eggs on toast in the middle of the universe. I have no idea what this one is or this one is supposed to be. This looks like it's maybe like something in a pan with just cinematic universe colors. And here is the upscaled image. Oh, this is really interesting. So it's like it got the idea of a toaster being this box of tech. You can almost see like a control panel over here. And it seems to have put the universe in the center of the toaster instead of the other way around. And it is interpreted toaster as something to do with bread. So there's just bread emerging all over this thing. One of the things I've noticed from playing with this is it's really difficult for the AI to get the specific proportions down of real existing things like cars or animals or things like that. It does much better when you let it create something brand new, something that didn't previously exist, and then it can create the proportions itself, and then it's just always good when it doesn't actually have a constraint to go by. So let's see if I can find a more abstract one for the AI to go with. All right, I think this one's a pretty good example of that. By Grilk here, a ball of blue matter with a star going supernova inside of it. So a ball of blue matter is super obscure, not a very specific defined shape or anything. And also a star going supernova, a lot more of an abstract visual concept. So let's see, oh wow. Oh, this is interesting. Just seeing it take shape already. It's actually not what I was expecting. I was expecting the background itself to be more of like in the universe, but I guess given what it's said, oh, this is cool. This top left one having just the stereotypical 5-pronged star shape in the middle is really interesting. And then this in the bottom right, this is more of what I was imagining for the rest of the images. All right, and here they are. Wow, this is really cool. I don't know which ones I like better. I'm leaning towards this top left one, looks the cleanest to me. So let's go ahead and upscale that one just to have one on its own. And then this bottom right one, I kind of want to see variations of that. So if I click V on number 4, it's now going to take this 4th image as inspiration using the same prompt and then create variations of that. So here are the variations, and ooh, it looks kind of uncomfortable, to be honest. As far as a ball of blue matter with a star going supernova inside of it, convincing to me. And then here is an upscale of that first image. You can see how much more detail gets added into the upscale. If you compare the resolution of this compared to this one up here, like the edges are so much less defined than they are on this one. This looks like something you would buy in like a gift shop somewhere. All right, next up by Puppertot226, futuristic space elevator in a large foggy city. Not a whole lot of details added to this one. We'll just see what it does. I'll actually start 2 prompts based off of this at the same time, and I'll add my own qualifiers to this to see what kind of difference we get. So I'm going to add realistic, surreal, cinematic, 8K. I will also make the aspect ratio be 9:16 because I imagine a space elevator being tall, so I want a tall image as well. So let's see what kind of difference my additional details create for the image compared to just the original prompt without any details. So here it is, futuristic space elevator in a large foggy city. So I feel like these bottom 2 are the closest to encompassing all of the prompt into one image. These ones, the space elevator is just going up through the clouds, which is kind of insane, which I guess, hey, it's a space elevator. It should probably break through the clouds at least, right? So now this is the one with the additional details that I added to it. I'm adding realistic, surreal, cinematic, 8K, and changing the aspect ratio. And you can see it's a little bit different. It's not a dramatic difference, but it definitely appears to be a little bit more detailed with the realism aspect. But I feel like it could still definitely use some tweaking. Let me play around with this one for a little bit and see if I can get like a really awesome image. Okay, so check this out. This is how it becomes kind of like a game because I started with the original prompt here, and then slowly modified it and re-rolled the prompt until I eventually settled on this image of a futuristic space elevator in a large foggy city. All right, up next by the Spy Eye, just for the meme, I'm gonna do it. It's just Among Us train. I have no idea if the AI knows what Among Us is, but let's see what happens. All right, and while that one is generating, we have another one by Axolotls in Overtime, an alien power crystal on top of a stone pillar with many wires coming out of the bottom. Cave apocalyptic. So now there's a lot of aspects to that it may combine, if combining them together probably actually wouldn't be that different than the original intent. So let's give it a try. All right, so here is the Among Us train. Oh no. So I don't know if it knows what Among Us, like honestly, this kind of gives me a little bit of Among Us vibes right here, but not exactly. It seems like it's taking just the word us. Like it's actually taking the before Among Us existed, it's taking what Among Us would have meant is there's something and there's multiple people. Look at, I love this train. Like there's just a bunch of people and this train's just kind of peeking in like, hey, what you guys up to? It's not even on the tracks. And I love how there's just this train. It didn't even put like any of the trains on the tracks. It put the tracks and then just like trains outside of the tracks. This is fascinating. But yeah, now there's a train here by itself and then there's all of these suspicious silhouettes. It does give the suspicion aspect in all of these images. I gotta admit that was more interesting than I thought it was going to be, but this image right here is hilarious to me. Just the train peeking in there. All right, so now for the alien power crystal on top a stone pillar with many wires coming out of the bottom. Check this out. I gotta upscale. Oh, a lot of these are really cool actually. What is this? These are some cool ones. I like this one a lot. Let's upscale this one. And there is the upscaled version. Man, this thing almost feels like not even sci-fi. It almost feels like something you could find in a cave, for real. All right, this one by RS Square is kind of intriguing me. I don't think the AI is gonna do good with it, but I wanna see what it will do with it. It is a massive skull-looking planet, is trying to absorb planet Earth. So the fact that there's a skull planet and planet Earth, two different subjects like that, I don't think the AI is gonna do well with that. But the idea of a skull planet and some type of absorption thing being interpreted by the AI, I wanna see what happens. So I'm gonna put just the prompt as is, the way it was submitted, and I'm gonna simultaneously add a bunch of like some of my favorite qualifiers like surreal and hyper realistic. Oh, I can already see the skulls forming as I'm typing down here. Oh, check this out. See, I knew this would still be good even if it didn't get the point. Like this is really interesting. It combined planet and skull successfully, basically. That is so cool. It is interesting on this one though, the planet seems to be within the atmosphere of like Earth. There's Earth in the background pretty much. This fourth image, this is my favorite. I'm gonna go ahead and upscale this one. All right, and then here it is with the extra modifiers that I added onto it, and whoa. This is a creepy looking skull, isn't it? With like the extra eye sockets. This one is really interesting to this one. These are all good. Like this is so cool. Can you see why I've been having so much fun with it? Like there's just so much you can do to get just slightly different or even very different results using the same prompt. So I haven't even done this in this video yet, but I could press this button right here and this just literally re-rolls the exact same prompt with no changes, because these are all based on the same prompt and yet they're all slightly different. So there's an infinite number of other variations it could make without changing any of the text. So let's just see what happens if we re-roll that same exact prompt. So here is another re-roll of the same exact prompt that I put in. And this is crazy. I kind of like this bottom one the best, is the most interesting to me. So let's upscale that one. And by the way, the upscale of this one just came in, and check it out. This is what it looks like now. So in a way, I think it does communicate the prompt, except it's kind of after the successful absorption of the planet, because a massive skull-looking planet trying to absorb planet Earth. If you imagine that the blue part of it here is planet Earth, and this was a skull planet, they've been absorbed. It's been a success. And here is the upscaled version with the added modifiers that I put on there, and it's just creepy. Okay, up next by Charlie CJK here. This I think is like a perfect prompt for this. A feather made of fire in a dark cave, surreal fantasy. So this seems like exactly the type of thing I would see. So let's see how well it can formulate a feather and fire and merge them together. All right, here we go. A feather made of fire in a dark cave. So it's got the fire color down. It doesn't seem to have the fire texture down quite that well yet, but it's definitely got the feather texture down, and it's got the cave down. Oh, I love the cave composition on this one. Let me upscale this one, see what that results in, and then I'll also add my own prompt with some modifiers to try to get it more of a flame look to see if we can get the original vision more accurate. See, honestly, in a way, this kind of feels like a building game. You're literally trying to construct a final product, and you've got to use some creativity to think about how to guide this program to do it in the right way. So I'm gonna add flaming, a flaming feather made of fire, and then I'm also just gonna add flames as its own separate thing, and I'm gonna add on fire, just to kind of I'm really trying to drive home the fire aspect of it. All right, so the upscale just finished, and actually this looks even better. Now you can see a little bit more of the flaming, or the fire feather aspect of it. It's almost like there's like part of the feather is smoke, part of it is fire. That's really cool. That is really cool. All right, so let's see how my additional qualifiers of trying to drive home the flame aspect, see if that actually worked. I don't know if it will. All right, here we go. Okay. Okay, all right, so now the flames are actually starting to show up a little bit more. We almost lost the cave aspect a little bit. Oh, there's some interesting stuff going on around this one. Let me try another one. Let me try to now focus more in on the cave background. I find that sometimes if you actually write the word background with what you want in the background, like just cave background, that actually helps a lot to guide the AI. All right, so now it's definitely come back with some more cave-like backgrounds. The feather is starting to lose shape a little bit, but we are still keeping the flames. This is an interesting one. This almost looks more like a flaming plant than a feather. But let me upscale this one and see if this fire gets more detail to be more recognizable. It almost looks like just dramatic lighting there, but maybe the upscale will add that detail that we need. All right, so the upscale didn't do that much better, but I got an idea on how to tweak it a little bit more. Rather than saying a feather made of fire, I actually flipped it and said flames in the shape of a feather. So we got this right here, which kind of gives me like candle flame vibes, but with like symmetrical feathers on the sides, which I didn't really put symmetry in there, even though it did it. And then we got this one right here, which these kind of look like flaming feathers to me. It is interesting that it went with multiple feathers instead of just a single feather, but I guess flames is plural, even though feather is singular in this one. All right, then up next, I'm super curious about this one. This is by Nexite, a Nokia phone destroying the solar system. What makes me really curious about this is I've never seen phones as rendered through this AI. I have no idea how it interprets what a phone looks like, or if it's gonna know what Nokia phone is, but I know it does do well with space themed stuff. So let's see how it combines phone with destroying the solar system. And here's the result, and I gotta admit, I'm disappointed in this one. I don't see any resemblance of a phone here. What's interesting is there's like, it seems to be the surface with like cell phone towers maybe? Okay, added some qualifiers onto it and definitely got more destruction. Like, is this a Nokia phone crashing into like the planet here? Like, is that what these streaks are? Is this supposed to be a Nokia phone? I don't know. Let me just type in Nokia phone and see what it does. I really don't know how well it envisions phones. Oh, okay. I can already, at 16%, I can already tell it knows what's going on here. So I gotta see this though. I gotta have this Nokia phone destroy the solar system. All right, Nokia phone crashing into the universe. Destruction, explosions, surreal, epic. So this is the final interpretation of just Nokia phone without any other type of prompt. It's interesting. It's got the gist. Okay, here we go. Oh, are these all like pieces of phone, like technology here? So we definitely got the crashing and like destruction aspect of it, but like, how do you communicate that it's a phone, a Nokia phone that's doing this? I don't know how you show the destruction and the phone still intact. You know what? I'm gonna try harder. Okay, I've got a couple of images that are a little bit closer. Now, the reason why I like this one is because this looks like a comet just pretty much like gonna destroy, not necessarily the universe, but destroy Earth. But if you notice, The comet isn't round. It very clearly has a more rectangular shape, so I can easily imagine this being a giant Nokia phone plummeting through the atmosphere, getting ready to destroy Earth. And then there's this one, which is the image of post-apocalypse, or not post-apocalypse, mid-apocalypse destruction. And then you just got this phone floating up in the air. So you can kind of, based on the prompt, you could probably just assume that this has something to do with the destruction. I don't know, just this floating phone here. But yeah, not an easy prompt. It's hard to imagine what the best case final scenario would look like, but these aren't bad. Okay, and then last up here by Super 9001, an orange wedge standing in a dark alley. Dark lighting, ominous, foggy, full moon in background. I think we have the potential to create a really superior work of art here. Let's see how the AI imagines it. Okay, I'm thinking it missed the point a little bit. It's got the orange and it's got the full moon. I'm not seeing a wedge right now. This is, what is, it's like the full moon and orange got combined and put in the alley. All right, I'm gonna have to do some tweaking, see if we can get an actual wedge in this picture. So I've done some tweaking. I've tried some different words like triangle and pyramid, and I even tried doorstop. Doorstop didn't work out too well, just gave me doors. Although, does look kind of cool. But I think I finally settled on this is my favorite variation on this. We definitely got an ominous looking wedge in a dark alley type area. You do not want to come up on this wedge. And this one actually came out pretty good as well. So there are some pretty good options there. But I did finally get the wedge shape to show up and to be orange kind of by itself. I don't know why this is here being orange, but you know, it's AI. So I am planning on involving the Discord community in some more videos in the near future. So make sure that you join the Discord if you want to have a chance to participate in future videos. If you guys enjoyed this AI art style video, I might be willing to do some more videos in the future if this does well. So let me know down in the comments below if this is something you enjoyed and you'd like to see more of. If you did enjoy this, you'll probably enjoy some more stuff on the channel that you can find right here on the end screen. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.